Okay, welcome to the live podcast, Win More on Purpose. Today we have Michelle Moses with us on building an audience, the secrets to developing a tribe of people that want to work with you. For those of you who don't know, the agenda is going to be a conversation between me and Michelle Moses. We're going to be learning here together, each and every one of us. Write down those questions. We're going to have Q&A at the end. And for those who might need to jump off early, there will be a recording that's going to come out tomorrow. To start off, you can put into the chat what is something that you might be focusing on in your business, where are you coming from today, or you can even add what it is that you do. And for those who don't know me, my name is Jakob Steinberg. I'm a sales coach. About 4+ years ago now, almost 4.5, when I first went into the coaching space full time, I noticed that people were able to build 6-7 figure businesses on their own. They're good at what they do. They're passionate. Some point along the way, they learned how to speak to people. They'd hit this glass ceiling, whether it was because sales is automatically associated with a used car salesperson, that quintessential sleazy, pushy individual, or because ultimately there's only so far that you can, continue to make things up as you go along, and they needed those systems and processes. And that's really where I came into the system to help them, coming from mindset, technique, skills, really giving them that confidence and clarity and how to take things to that next level and really be successful with it. For those who are familiar with LinkedIn, you might be, familiar with a couple of the pretty well-known people that I've been able to help to grow their businesses, whether it's been Chai Fishman, Hoodie Bluch, Hoodie Greenberger, just to name a few. And thankfully, those that have been able to work with me, we've been able to help them to grow at the 6-7 figure level by even 50% in the first 60 days of working with me, at the 100K mark, even by 150% in the first 60 to 90 days. And even at just the solopreneur level, starting off 4K a month, grow by 200 to 240% in the first 45 days. It really just brings my three passions together of sales, teaching, and helping people. And with that, Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wow. How do I top that intro? My name is Michelle Moses. I am a brand designer and business coach. I grew a business by finding my ideal customer, which we're going to talk about today, and building my tribe. So that is me in a nutshell. I am super passionate about what I do. I love helping women, Jewish women, grow their businesses and make more money. And I do believe that it is my life's purpose. I'm a very purpose-driven entrepreneur, and helping people find their purpose is also something I focus on a lot. Because I do believe that we all have a God-given gift and we're meant to use it to make a lot of money and get rich. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic. We've had a bunch of conversations offline, and I'm really excited to get into this today because I feel like today's topic is something that so many people really struggle with, whether they are solopreneurs or whether they've been in business for years, as even small, medium-sized businesses really struggle with understanding how to get people to want to work with them.
Yeah.
I think the best place to start is just within the title itself of this podcast. We said the tribe, right? Developing a tribe of people. And I think that first question really should be, why the word tribe? Why aren't we calling them customers? Why is it that we're looking to create a group of people around us that could be called a tribe?
So there's a differentiating factor between like customers who buy from us and a tribe who is loyal and they share values with each other and they resonate with you. And that's something more tribal, community, family. Like these are things I think of when I think of my customers, and sometimes we get really caught up in business, like making the sale. How many customers can I get? But I want you to really take that to the next level today in this conversation and ask yourself, how can I build a tribe? Are my values clear to my customer? Do they share these values with me? Am I checking in with myself and seeing how I feel about the things that I sell? Or am I just doing it because I'm doing what all the gurus are telling me to do? So to me, tribe is like really taking it to that deeper level and thinking, what do my people share with each other? What's that common ground, the common values? And why are they coming to me to solve their problem? They already have so much in common, these people that come to you. So it's really thinking like deeper beyond just a paying customer.
Yeah, and I think it's so important. And the two of us discussed this in one of our conversations together, which is that so many people from a branding perspective, they go through the steps of understanding who their customer is, but they don't really step into the psychographics of it. right?
Yeah.
What really makes those people tick? What's really going through their minds? What do they really care about? Not just in regards to you and what your service is. And I think that when we take that step, like you said, step out of yourself and step really into the customer's shoes in terms of what is it that they need and they want from life, we're really then able to understand how we can bring them closer to us, because what is it that we do and what is it they want and what's that connecting factor? Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. I actually labeled this. I call it impactfluence. It's like a magic superpower that each of us have. And I find that people get so caught up on like what differentiates me as a brand? Why would people choose me? And your impactfluence is the answer. And impactfluence, the way I define it, is your unique superpower and how you uniquely use it. So it's like this
Okay.
double whammy. Not only is your superpower unique, I call it your God-given gifts. Hashem gave you a talent. You have this thing, but it's also how you use it. How are you going to use it to help people? And that's what really positions you as the go-to. Why are people choosing you? Why is this tribe following you?
Wow. Wow. Truly powerful. And I think that, like, when we really understand the words that you just said, which is you have a gift that's unique to you that people need. When
Mhm.
we truly step into that reality, I remember my own journey when I did that. When I was, even doing well on LinkedIn is a great example. I was getting views, I was getting reactions, but I didn't have people that were there because of me. I didn't have messages coming in, oh my God, I love your podcast and it's helping me and I'm growing. And those types of messages weren't really coming in. And even before I did that, it was just those people weren't necessarily coming because of they wanted to be part of that bigger aspect. It was, hey, I have a service, they could benefit from it. And you could totally have a growing, successful business without having a tribe of people. Like you said, you can have customers without
Yeah.
having that tribe. But what really just exponentially will help it to grow are having those people who are those diehard fans that just want to hear every word that you have to say. Right. Those are those
Yes.
students that just love every single word that's coming out of your mouth. Now, there might be one or two things that they're going to disagree, and that's good. But ultimately, they're pining to be a part of whatever it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's magic to that. And it definitely comes from being the most you can possibly be.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the key, or what is the key, I should say, to creating the right offer or product that will attract these types of people? Or we could even say the customers before we get to the tribe aspect of it.
Yeah.
What are the ways that we can attract those people?
So it's really, and everyone learns this, but we're going to get into the deeper aspect of it, is to know your customers' desires and what their dream outcome is. And every strategy business guru is going to tell you this, but I really want to get to the core of what that means. What your customer hopes to achieve, like think about whatever it is you sell, whether you're a graphic designer. I like that's the background I come from. So that's the one I always pick to give examples about because it resonates with me the most. But when people hire me, it's not because they don't have a logo. It's because they know that that logo will carry them closer to their goals. And that's when you've hit on the right offer where you've created something that actually carries your customer, your ideal customer, closer to their goals. And it has to move them forward and upward. So, when you're creating some sort of an offer, sometimes we're like, oh, I have such a good idea and people are going to like it. People want this. But are you truly moving them forward with this thing, or are you filling a void? That's the difference. And you can do this with a product. Like when you're just selling a product, people don't have it, they want it, they buy it, now they have it. Not a major solution happened here. But when they buy something, experience some sort of a transformation, they're no longer the person they were before they bought the thing. Now they're like a new version of themselves. And now they've witnessed like what it's like to really be in your world and experience who you are and what you sell. So when I create these branding packages, I know my customer will not be the same person they are on the other side of that because they're coming to me, they are stuck somewhere in their business. They're like, I'm stuck. My business just like, I can't launch it like this. I'm not resonating with it. I don't feel aligned with it. I need a logo that's going to carry me forward to my vision of success. I know that client's going to book my high ticket package because they're already recognizing the value in having a logo. I don't need to educate them. I don't need to remind them. I don't need to sell the value. Like everyone's like, it's such a time waster to like try to teach people the value of what you sell. Your customers should be there already. That's the magic of a tribe. Like they know why they're coming to you. They're problem aware and they're like, you hold the key to what I need to get me to my goals. So the key to creating the right offer to attract the dream customers is creating an offer that speaks to the dream outcome. What are they going to look like on the other side of working with you or buying from you? Who are they going to become? And is that going to look like their high level version of themselves? It's really important to know that about your customer. Who do they want to be? What does that look like for them? What is success? What does winning look like? So create an offer that revolves around that and gets them there.
Amazing. And this is important, I think, also to point out. It's not that idea of pain points versus features. It's the next
Mhm.
step. It's
Yeah.
understanding that promised land that they're looking for, right?
Yep.
It's understanding, like in when I mentioned, when we first came on in my own context pitch, it's that confidence and clarity piece that people are looking for versus just focusing on mindset, techniques, skills, and them being able to grow their business, right? Those are filling a void that they have. The confidence and clarity piece that I mentioned in that bit is the promised land. That's what they're looking for. And I
Yeah.
think there's a huge shift when we look deeper into that of really understanding what's going to pull them towards you as opposed to, like you said, fill the void that they're missing. Because one of
Exactly.
the things that we talked about in sales, right? We talk about this all the time is the idea of this is where you're at today, this is where you want to get to, right?
Hmm.
And it's that transformation piece is that piece that's going to create, what it is that they're, that promised land they're looking for. That's the
Yeah,
whole point.
exactly. And like you said, right, we're not agitating pain points, which, is also everyone tells you to do that. Talk about the pain, the pain. They know they're in pain. They are quite aware. Now they're at the point where they're like, I know where I need to get to. Who's going to be the person driving me to that goal? So that's really what they're looking for here. So when you know your customer on this deeper level where you're like, I know exactly what he or she needs on the other side of this offer, it's easy to sell and it's easy to create a tribe because like I said in the beginning, a tribe is this group of people, they share these same values. They want to achieve the same goals. Like we'll talk about my ideal customer soon, but like there's something magical about having a group of people buying from you that are in the same niche, they're in the same category, they're in the same frequency. And
Mhm.
when they have things in common with each other, like they're in this together, like it is community. And there's something really special about that.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say like the pain points are obviously important to understand from a perspective of making sure that you really can show them that you know what's making them tick. Right?
Right. That's
That's where
coming
that
from
part comes in.
empathy. Right.
Exactly. And sitting on those to help them to figure out what are the solutions to that, but that's different than what we're talking about here, which is in creating a tribe that's pulling people into their promised land, which is more of, a different part of the sales process, but it's farther towards the end of that process, I would say.
Right. It also depends like where, and again, we'll talk about this, but like where your customer is, you have to know where they are in that journey. And some people are a little more ahead and you have the people who are not problem aware and you have the
Hmm.
people who are super aware that they have a problem. And you also have the customers who don't know what that dream outcome is. They're not clear on what their goals are, as where you have the client or the customer who's so clear on that. They're just like, who am I hiring to get me there?
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting because we keep going back to, we mentioned branding a couple of times, and yes, that has to do with the fact that your background is within branding itself, but ultimately every single business is a brand, and we need to ask the question, what makes a brand so enticing that people are going to want to work with them specifically, right? Because like you just said, they're looking for that person who's going to be the one, right? So what makes that the brand or that one so enticing that people are going to want to work with them?
So I find that sharing value makes you enticing. When you show people what you know and they get a taste of your superpower, that makes them feel like they stepped into your world. So I call it worlds, tribes, like the tribes in your world, but that's ultimately what this is. When you build a brand, it is your universe and you get to control the rules and you get to decide who works with you and who doesn't. And when you share value and you allow people to step into that world, and you're not gatekeeping, but you're sharing information, you're sharing tips, you're helping them, you're recognizing them, you use empathy, people feel like they feel you. And sometimes people say to me, like, how much free stuff is too much free? Like, I'm giving so much of myself over. And I just want you to keep in mind, like, if that's something that's crossing your mind right now, anyone can Google information. You can just be the source that people go to for that information, but anyone could Google anything you say. The piece that people pay you for is the implementation or the done for you, because that's where the true stuck lies. They're stuck, they can't do it. Like, I can follow all the strategies in the world, but I'm still going to hire a business coach to help me implement the strategies, because these are generic strategies that can work for everyone, but who's going to help me apply it the way I need it applied in order to reach the goals that I need to reach? So I can share all the business strategies on my Instagram, but at the end of the day, when people are hiring me and they're asking me to help them with their branding, they're asking for me to do it for them or do it with them. So that's what they hire me for. And again, give people a taste of you. I think another thing that makes brands really enticing is being disruptive. And you can be disruptive in a couple of ways. I'm a huge fan of disruption. Um, One is that you can solve an overlooked or ignored problem. So sometimes that's something that's very obvious to you. And maybe some of you listening have started a business because of this, where you're like, this is missing. I found the gap and I'm just going to lean into it in a way nobody else has and create a solution for people that need the solution. Or you solve a common problem in your own unique way that no one else is doing. This is my favorite one. And yeah, everyone's doing logo design and branding and everyone's doing business coaching, but what unique way do I want to approach this? And how do I want to step in as helping people? Or where is my niche that I can help them in a way that nobody else is helping them? And by being disruptive, you stand out to your tribe because they're looking for a solution in this unique way. And when you're aware of the problem that needs to be solved for them and how they need that solved, right? So for example, I do group coaching for Jewish women, and there aren't a lot of options out there because not only am I helping people rebrand their businesses, but we're also getting into mindset shifts. And some of my clients call it therapy. Like, they walk out of session, and I'm sure clients have said the same to you. They walk out
For
of
sure.
coaching sessions, right? It's transformative. They walk in one version of themselves, they walk out another elevated version of themselves. It's just the experience. So, I was looking for something for myself and I couldn't find it, so I created it. So, being disruptive will get you a tribe. It will draw the right people to you if you are solving a problem that needs to be solved by your tribe.
Yeah, and they call another way of calling, that superpower is really that zone of genius that
Yeah.
only you have. Because when people are looking for a specific service, and I spoke about this, I believe it was today, with a client where I said to them, you could put a tremendous amount of information online, all the value, all the tips, and there's no such thing as, you mean give all my knowledge out? Yeah, because there's a very small percentage of people that are actually about to take that information and do something with it, right?
Yep.
Most people are going to get stuck in implementation, which means who are they going to turn to? The person who taught them about that stuff. And they're going to go, well, you're the authority, you're the expert. Can you help me with this? I tried to do it on my own and I wasn't successful. And it's not because we're holding back information. It's because you know which wire to cut because you have that experience, right? You
Exactly.
have all the knowledge necessary to get this done in a way that's going to be transformative for them. And, another thing I liked you said was that disruption factor, right? That
Mhm.
transformative process where someone's going to turn into that version 2.0. And ultimately, I mean, when we talk about coaching, the biggest outcome we want is people to turn into version 2.0, right? That's the
Yeah.
biggest outcome. And of course, a piece of that is going to be, a business that's growing more, them being able to bring in more revenue and all of that. But it ultimately starts and ends with you as an individual. When you're that higher self, when you're that version 2.0, when you're in that transformational person that you can be, it's a completely different world on the other side.
Absolutely. It's magical. I mean, I've experienced this for myself. So when I see it happen for my clients, I just feel really excited.
Yeah, and I think this goes into, this transformation piece and this disruption. That's, I think, what would really keep brands unique today and keep those customers coming in, because the way to stand out when there's so much quote unquote competition out there is just being you, because people are going to be attracted to you for what you stand for what you've been through, for how they see themselves through you. Is that right?
100%. Yes. And I think you are your best selling factor. I see people trying to implement all these strategies so robotically. It's like, I was told to say this, so I'm going to say this. I need to do this way because this is the way people are doing it. The more you get caught up in that, the more you're pushing your people away. You push customers away. You're really not stepping into your true self. And when you find your voice and you show up with conviction and you really stand behind what you sell, that's where the tribe grows. That's where people want to buy from you. That's where they're excited to buy from you and tell other
Right.
people about you. There's that, like, okay, there's something about them. I'm very drawn, like I'm just like thinking of people I follow, people I've bought from. There's just something so unique about them, and their perception, their perspectives are so unique. Sharing your opinions is actually one of the strongest things you can do in marketing. And I encourage people on social media, on LinkedIn, Instagram, share your opinion, share your unpopular opinion, because that's what draws people to you. The more you are.
Yeah, 100%. And ultimately, when you are you, that's going to be that piece that's going to start building the tribe, right? It's when you are unique, like we just said, when you are being you. That is what makes your brand likable to the point that you're building that tribe. Because I'm
Exactly.
attracted to you as a concept, and I see myself at most of the time when we talk about coaching, I'll say it from this perspective. A lot of times you want to look for that person that's already where you want to be or has experienced the things that you want to be able to be good at. And when
Hmm.
you're able to do that, so that's where the magic happens. Because when you give them that view, when you say, hey, I used to be here and now I'm here, they're like, oh, wow, I'm in that first place and I want to get to that second place. Maybe this person can help me.
Yeah.
Right. And that comes into client success stories and all that type of stuff in terms of showing people these are the clients that I've had and what they've experienced.
Exactly. And even to piggyback on that, when you're trying to get clarity on your ideal customer, you can talk to the past version of yourself, because that's going to resonate with a lot of people who are shopping for what you are doing. So that, it helps with figuring out your messaging, and it helps with people figuring out if you're a good fit for them.
Wow. What do you think is the best method to build an audience of hot leads?
Um, so I think the number one thing, and we just said this like 2 minutes ago, is really standing behind your offer. When you want to convert, so just to explain like the cold to hot process, cold is when people are strangers. Warm is they're following you on social media, you're sharing your value, they're warming up, they're getting to know you. And hot is when they're proceeding to check out and they made the purchase. And understanding this journey, as simple as it is, really simplifies the whole building a tribe process. Because what would it take for you? Like, this answer could look unique for every business, but what would it take for you to get your cold leads to warm, and then that warm to hot? And sometimes that process could vary. For me, a lot of free value definitely sells. People, I don't hold back. And if people ask me questions or WhatsApp me questions, I will answer them, and I will not charge for my time, because I know they'll be back as a customer. I'm super confident because, first of all, they fit in my tribe mold and we vibe. And I'm happy to do this. Like, this is part of my purpose. If my purpose is to help women make a lot of money, whether I do this through $0 or I sell a really big contract, I'm living in my purpose. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So if you want to draw people closer to you, you got to take those walls and those barriers down. And again, like we said earlier, let them into your world, invite them, let them sit down for a cup of coffee, and let them feel you and experience you. And that can even come through having social media content that was pre-planned. This doesn't have to take a lot of your time. Like some people are like, I don't have free time. How am I going to give free value? You can be strategic about that. How you divvy up your time and how you provide value could be a webinar that you do once a month or once a quarter. Let people see your genius, let people see your experience, let people see that you are where they want to be, and let them see how good you are at what you do. So to really bring those sales in and to convert those leads to, paying customers, is really also just standing behind what you sell. And I've seen people like almost holding back when they're selling, and this is your forte, but like they're not fully in it. And that could be, that's the kind of stuff I dig deeper with my clients on. It's what's holding you back. Do you not stand behind what you sell? Do you not believe that this is a good offer? Do you feel guilty charging a lot for this offer? Like what's going on over here that you're not super convicted? Like if you can't show up with conviction, something is wrong, and there's a disconnect, something's not aligned. So you want to get those hot leads, you got to stand behind your offer and truly believe that it works. You have to 100% know that this works. You can't just make something up and like put a big price tag on it and say, here you go, world.
Yeah, and it's having that confidence and clarity at the end of the day. Like if you don't really believe the value that this is going to bring other people, that people need what it is that you have to offer. And this goes into content creation and really understanding how to give over to other people the message that you have, because so many people, I think, short themselves in thinking that, oh, but I don't really have anything new to say. Well, the way
Yeah,
that you're going to say it is new. The way that you're going to have a new spin on it is new. No one's going to say it like you because there's only one you, and you've got that song to sing. Sing it loud. Let everyone hear it, because they're going to be attracted to you, and that's how they're going to want to be a part of what it is that you have to offer, right?
that's
That's
right.
how you're going to get potential clients, I think, to choose to buy, irrelevant of what the price is, and just money's no object. I need to be a part of this, right? I think that's really where that piece comes in, because when they recognize, as you said earlier, you're that, promised land, as we said, right?
Mhm.
Money is a smaller role, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. When people see you, like you become the solution and they know, okay, that will fast track me there. This will save me time. It will save me money. It will increase my quality of life, or it will get me to a higher status. Insert name of problem here. When things can carry you over to the next thing, money really becomes no object. Also, when something is priced higher, it feels more special, and when you're
Right.
delivering a dream outcome, that has a lot of value in itself. Like we keep saying, you're transforming this individual, you're taking them from the old version of themselves to 2.0, you're 10xing them in some way. Their whole life can change as a result of your offer and working with you. And you have to really figure out what that experience is. Like, what is it that you are selling that's really carrying people over to the other side? And yeah, when people see you as not a cost but an investment, and they understand that, they're not looking at the price tag, but they're looking to see, they're doing their research to see that you're the right fit to get them to where they need to be.
Yeah, and I think that really, if we go to take it a step further, right, and get like super practical with it, right? So how does one strategically plan who their ideal client is for their tribe, right? Creating that loyal customer, or and once you figure out who that person is, how do you bring them into your world,
Okay,
right?
so
So
this
like I
is
think that's the next step right after that.
yeah, this is like, I geek out over ideal client avatars and building them. This is like my jam. I love it. And I wonder if it comes from my old background of working in comic books where I created characters. And I
Mm,
think creating ideal customer avatars just brings me back to the good old days. And there's something super fun about figuring out who your client is. But Now, what you're going to hear a lot, like if you're following all the gurus on social media, they're going to be like, know the demographic, know their pain points, know their age, know what car they drive. Yes, these things are all important. You should know this. My ICA is 32 years old. She's a mom of three. She drives a minivan. She makes a decent income. What you really, really want to know in order to create an amazing offer and build an incredible tribe of people in your world, you need to know not who they are, where they are, and when they are. And when we're thinking of the where, I want to know where she is in her journey, right? Where is she that she needs me right now? So my ICA, she's stuck in scaling her business. She's stuck in her feeling out her brand. Like it doesn't feel aligned. Something's off. She's stuck. Something feels off. There's disconnect. There's a lack of clarity. That's when she is. And then I'm sorry, that's where she is. But then I also want to know when she is. When is she in her journey? Did she just start a business yesterday? Is she knee deep into her business 3 years in, starting to like get all the pieces together? It's really important for me to know these things because then I can create messaging that's talking directly to her. And I'm going to share a crazy fact with you. But my ideal customer, and I'm very intentional about this, but the people I attract are people who have been through like a major life change, whether they just had a baby or they just got married or they just got divorced or they just bought a house or they just made a major move or they made aliyah. These are the people that tend to be drawn to me. And I think first of all, I'm very intentional about it. But what I love about my tribe is that it makes sense that this is where they would reach out to me because when you go through a major life change, you change. Your identity shifts. You know, how many times you
100%.
talk to moms, right? How many times you talk to moms or people who just moved? They don't feel like they felt before that thing happened. They are like now, you become a homeowner, like you have a new identity, a new label. You become a parent, you have a new identity, new label. When people have new identities and new labels, what happens is their business needs to catch up with them. Their branding needs to catch up with them. They now have like an old version brand that now needs to be the new version that matches who they are now. So that's where I step in and help people. And again, it's not a coincidence that these are the kind of people who come to me. And whenever I say this to potential clients and like I'm on that consultation call, I'm like, did you just go through like some sort of major life change? And they're blown away every single time. They're like, how did you know that? I'm like, because I'm talking directly to you every day. I am. These are my people. This is my tribe. And I love it because I've been through that. You know, I've been through identity shifts throughout my life, and my business kept shifting too as a result. I've had to rebuild my own business, my own brand twice. And like in a major way, like going from 0 to 6 figures both times. And that's the magic. Again, we keep talking about the magic of the tribe, but there's so much magic in a tribe. And it's you again know where they are and when they are, not just who they are, but you got to know all three.
Yeah, and it's I keep using this word, but that's just what it is. It's so powerful when you're ready to step into that space because, you know, like I mentioned earlier, understanding where they are and when they are is going to help you to understand for that individual in that exact moment what are their deepest wants, desires, needs, fears, worries, all those psychographics
Yes,
change at where they are in the journey. Because if someone hasn't gone through that yet, what they want, desire, or need is going to be very different than someone who's already gone through that life change and now they're looking for something else. They're looking for that quote unquote rebrand, that piece that's really going to give them that legacy and give them the purpose that they're looking for in that new version of themselves, right? And their
absolutely.
fears are going to change, you know, their limiting beliefs and their external, you know, their external limiting beliefs. All of those, you know, pieces shift as you go through those process, right? As you figure out the where and the when, you're going to also need to figure out, and again, this is why it's so important to go into the psychographics when you figure out who your ideal client profile is. Because when you know these are the pieces that fit, you'll also be able to, you know, have that information based on where and the when.
Yeah. And, you know, it also helps you as the business owner know exactly how to talk to them. And I give this example, like, let's say you're a parenting coach, and if your niche was new moms, first time moms, you would talk to them a certain way. But if your niche was raising teenagers, you would talk to them completely differently. The
Right.
challenges are different. Like what they go through psychologically, these parents, it's different. Your life experience is different. Everything just looks different. So really think about the when, like where are they in their timeline when you're talking to your customer and you're messaging, right? It's not enough to be like, are you a busy mom? That's so general, but if you're talking to someone at the core, like you're a busy first time mom, you've never done this before. Do you find yourself asking where the manual is? Like, then you're really getting deep into the core and you're talking to exactly where they are in their timeline.
Yeah. And there's no other way, I think, that you can possibly create a tribe. Can you get customers without doing this? Of course you can. Right. There are
Hmm.
so many businesses that I'm sure that have come to you having not done this work that are easy 6, 7 figures because they're just good at what they do. They're passionate about
Yep.
it and they're really good at it. And people are attracted and there's word of mouth and all of that. But it's not a tribe, right? When you have
Hmm.
customers, it's a very big difference. And I think that bears repeating because just because you're being successful, just because you've reached a certain point, does not mean you've created a tribe of people that want to be around you and learn from you. And I
Yes.
think there's also the point that if you're a specific point in time, if you're there when they need you in that moment, they'll stay with you even when they've moved past that moment. But if you
Yes.
missed them, then there's no reason for them to turn around and come back to you.
Right. There's also like right now, I'm figuring this out in my own brand where I have like this very specific ideal customer, but I also have people reaching out to me where they're like, I'm not quite who you work with. I'm just launching a business from scratch. Can you help me? And then as a business owner, I start to think, where can I meet them? What offer can I create to them? Going back to that concept of how do we create an offer for these tribes? I have to think about that tribe and what they need and, bring them into my world differently, speak to them
Right.
differently, offer them something maybe, what would beginner level look like? Like these are intelligent people. It doesn't mean like starting from scratch. It just means like giving them the basic strategies that maybe my other customers don't need, So it's like these pieces are so important when you're crafting an offer and you want to create something like magnificent and revolutionary for your ideal customer. Like really, really figure out where are they in this journey, in this life journey that they're in. It's not just like the business goals, but like where are they in their journey, and like also where are they in their journey and where's their dream outcome and what's that process getting there gonna look like.
Yeah, and I would go, let's continue. I love the practical, aspect of helping people to really understand how they can apply this to themselves. What advice then would you give to someone who's struggling to really understand what are the action steps they need to take to build their own tribe? Like, what's that one action step that viewers, people who are watching this, listening to this, that they could take to build their own tribe right now?
So if you're looking to start a tribe, the first thing you would do is you need to like really understand your branding at a deep level. Like really, really know what your mission is, what you stand for, who you help, how you help them. And like I work with people who sometimes don't feel connected to their branding. Like it feels like an external thing that they run from the outside. It doesn't feel like a true extension of them, but something that's just completely on the outside and they don't know what to do with it. um, I would say journal, write down ideas, thoughts. What like where would you maybe be feeling stuck in building your tribe? Like why can't you do this today? And I want you to also think about who you are in the future. Really think about, I call this the BPG, the big picture goal. Paint a
Mhm.
picture of who you are. And I call it big picture because sometimes we waste so much time on details like, okay, what car am I going to drive and how many kids am I going to have? Really, just like when you close your eyes right now, like what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of your future version of yourself? And I know I have a super clear picture. My 9-year-old has a very clear picture of what that looks like for him. It's something that I think is so important to implement because whenever you're setting any sort of goals, having that big picture goal needs to be there because whatever goals you set now and whatever action steps you take today needs to carry you to the big picture. So how are you going to get there? I would start with that. Like start with the end first. You want to build a tribe? Great. What do you look like at the end? And then how are you going to build, working backwards, figure out how you're going to get there. So also when you're building a brand, and again, if you're getting stuck at any point, like try to figure out what stuck is looking like for you. But like, if that's a smooth process for you, awesome. As you're getting to that goal, I want you to also figure out, like, if that were me now, like I have that future, it is accessible to me. I will become that. That is me. If that's you right now, what would building a tribe look like? So don't think you're starting from scratch, because some people get very intimidated starting something new. Like, oh, I'm going to start putting out content, speaking to my tribe. What's that going to look like? It's going to look exactly how it's going to look in 20 years from now. And that big picture version of you. What does BPG version of you look like? And you're going to operate at that high level version of yourself. And that's how you're going to bring in a tribe faster, because now you're not like holding back and you're second guessing what to say. You actually have clarity on who you are and what your brand's going to look like. So this should feel like a no-brainer for you. You're just diving right in and you're operating as the higher version of you.
And it's really understanding also, I think, what is it that you really want out of your business in the future, right? Building that tribe and
Absolutely.
growing your business off of that version of yourself today will bring the people that you want to come tomorrow, right?
Yeah. And
It all works hand in hand.
if people are going to think like, oh, I just want to make money, then you will ultimately slow yourself down, because if you're just here for the sales, this is going to be a long and tiring process for you. But if you're looking to make impact and use your impactfluence, and you want to inspire people and move people, and you want to disrupt your industry, then this will become a fun process, and you will see a lot more reward from your hard work, because you're going to start getting those messages from your tribe saying, you changed my life. I can't believe that I was just this version of myself a month ago. You're going to start getting those kinds of messages because you have the superpower that you're using the right way, as opposed to just like floating through your business.
Yeah, and ultimately, when we go through that process, it stops being. I'll say it like this: when you're in sales, when you're in business just for the money, it's going to be, like you said, a very tiresome journey, because the
Mm-hmm.
stamina isn't going to be there. It's when you have a goal, when you have something to hold on to, that gives you the stamina to keep going, right? When you have that value, that esteem, something that you're holding up, this is what I want. I want to leave a legacy, whatever it is, that will give you the stamina. If you try to just create the stamina out of thin air by, oh, I need to get sales and therefore I need to support my family and I'm just doing it because I have to, not because
Mm-hmm.
that's a goal, it's going to suck all the life out of you and it's going to make you one miserable individual as you go through life. As
That's
opposed
really,
to having that, thing to hold over you, that you say, this is where I'm going. And what that does for you is that even when you're not excited about it, you're not motivated about it, you're going to do it anyways, because that's the
mm-hmm.
pathway to success.
Yes, I was going to say that it's the difference between, being purpose driven and kind of just throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping things work, because you're just knowing like, these are the strategies. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to sell that. I'm supposed to show up on LinkedIn today. That's the difference. When you're purpose driven and you know exactly who you want to become at the end of all this, then you are operating, first of all, as a totally different version of yourself, because you just show up with so much conviction, so much confidence. You know exactly what kind of message needs to be sent out today to your audience, what they need to hear, what they need to understand. There's that two-way connection with a tribe. They know what they need from you and you know what you need from them. It's a two-way street. It's this relationship. It's you build like this amazing connection with people where they're so immersed in your world and they're so motivated by you and inspired by you and what you do. I mean, doesn't that give you goosebumps just thinking about it? Like, oh my gosh, I have this power. And you don't have to be a seasoned speaker and you don't have to be like 12 degrees from college. You just have to show up as yourself with your God-given gifts and do your thing and step into your purpose. That's why I feel like knowing your purpose, finding your purpose early on in the game is important, because it does drive you forward. That why drives your purpose forward. So figuring all that out early on, journal, write down things. And it just, you show up so differently and everything just feels easier. It feels easier to show up. It doesn't feel like a chore.
I'm speechless. It's so amazing. No, I have to tell you like this. Like when we have when I have guests on the podcast that live what it is that they talk about, and most of my guests are like that, but it's just a different experience than someone who just knows the right things to say. Because the passion with which you're talking about, you've lived this. You went through this for yourself, right? And when we come from a place of experience, not just knowledge, it's a completely different way that you give it over and that people are therefore able to be impacted, and have that impactfluence from you, as opposed to just being able to give it over in a nice way. So
Yeah.
it's always fun to really have that. I want to open the floor to questions. If anybody has any questions that you want to ask myself or Michelle, you can definitely put that into the comments. If you don't want to open up your mic or your video, you could also put in as well, what is something that you're stuck on today, or if you would ask one question on the topic that we're talking about today, what would that be? I'll give a minute for people to put something into the comments if they want, and floor is yours. See what we get.
I'll just add while people are submitting questions, you were talking
Go for it.
about, past experience, like when you live it yourself, you just show up differently. Um, for anyone, tuning in, trying to figure out like, what do I say? I want to build this tribe. I feel inspired. Really leverage your story. We all have a story. We've all been through something that somehow brings us back to our ideal customer, that somehow brings us back to that tribe. We all have some sort of experience, some sort of transformation that we went through, and it doesn't always have to directly relate to it. It's not like I went from comic book artist to six-figure entrepreneur, so now I'm going to help comic book artists become six-figure entrepreneurs. It's more like I felt lost, stuck, confused, unsure, no clarity, no purpose, kind of just floating through life. And now I want to help people who are unsure, stuck, floating through life, not sure what the next move is. And I leverage that story because that, first of all, it helps me connect with people. People reach out to me very often and they're like, I really felt your story and I'm going through something similar. And it just helps us connect on a deeper level. And I enjoy those conversations so much with my tribe. But you have a story. It exists already. Like, just start talking about it, put it out on LinkedIn. Like, I give everyone listening an assignment right now on LinkedIn today. I want you to post your story. Where were you before you experienced your own transformation? And how do you bring this back to your customer? And your brand story is not like, oh, I was born in 1992. Your brand story is something you experienced that changed you, and that change is now helping you and giving you the experience or the drive or the wisdom to help other people experience transformation. So really think about that. That's your homework. And tag me and Jaco
Awesome.
Steinberg.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would love to see, people step more into who they are and where they're coming from, right? People always say, "Oh, but if I do I need to tell all?" We had on the podcast, we spoke about LinkedIn, and you don't need to tell everything about yourself. You don't need to put yourself in a bad light. Like, I had someone ask me
No.
this the other day, and I said to them, I said, you could talk about it in past experience, right? When I talk about those types of things, I say like 2 years ago, this is what happened. And, I was able to work through it. I don't talk about it in the now, right? I don't want to
Mhm.
affect the brand in that way and say, oh, look, he's not doing well. So he's not, someone I want to work with. There's ups and downs in every business. But if I talk about
Sure.
it after the fact and how I was able to persevere, how I was able to come through it on the other side, everybody has ups and downs in their business, and they will experience that with you and say they see themselves in that relevancy in that story. We have a question here. I don't really, this person seems to be struggling with the brand that they have. And they say they don't feel connected to it. What are they supposed to do?
Okay, so if you're not feeling connected to your brand, um, there's a lot of digging deep. Like, where's the stuck or disconnect feeling? Is it that you feel like, I think I mentioned this before, like you're maybe feeling guilty of the money that you're charging or the money you're earning? Like, when you get that PayPal notification, do you feel elated or do you feel like a little bit yucky? You'd be surprised how many people actually feel a little bit yucky. And they're like, whoa, did I deserve that? Do I need to over deliver now? I just sold a high ticket thing. Oh my gosh. Like, you need to work through wherever the stuck is. For some people, it could be something as simple as, you don't like the name of your brand anymore. It doesn't represent what you do. So change your name. I give you permission to make changes to your branding if you feel like it needs to be changed. Maybe your brand colors feel off now because, you've moved on from that, hot pink. Now you're up to teal blue. The pink is too girly, like whatever it is. I give you permission to abandon the things that no longer serve you and no longer represent who you are. And now you can really step into a truer version of you and your brand. But really, like, I also know people who don't feel worthy of having a business, or they don't feel worthy of having a tribe. Like, who am I? That imposter syndrome kicks in. So I want you to really get honest with yourself, write down your thoughts, and figure out where's the disconnect happening, and what are you feeling that's causing that disconnect. It always comes from a deeper root feeling. It's always something in the heart where you're feeling like this doesn't feel like me, or I don't like what I'm selling. Sometimes it's a value thing. Like, I don't agree with the thing that I'm selling. I'm selling something that doesn't feel like myself, and I don't really stand behind it. And that's okay. You don't have to sell it anymore. Think of new packages and new offers, but really get to know yourself and feel like what's holding you back and causing that disconnect.
Yeah, and I would say also your branding is the core of what you're doing, right? So if you don't
100%.
feel it, you've got to take that introspection to really understand, do you have limiting beliefs about it? Do you not understand the value you're giving? Have you started to second guess, like you said, imposter syndrome comes into play here? Have you started second guessing yourself? You're not really understanding, intuition anymore.
Yeah.
Is it an external limiting belief, right? Like you said earlier, there's transformations we go through. Is it a simple, quote unquote simple? It's not simple at all, but is it the colors? Is it the name? Is it the way the logo looks, right? Like, it takes a tremendous amount of self introspection to really,
Yeah.
well, it's, I say that 5 times fast. It's really taking that deep look and understanding, like, what is it that's bothering me about this, right? Is it just the whole thing? Like, get specific with it. Don't let yourself just, oh, I just don't like it anymore. Why?
Hmm.
Like, ask yourself those hard questions that you would ask anybody else to understand what's bothering them. I think that's another important part here. I always say, in ending off every single podcast here, it's important when we have podcasts like this that are super impactful and give a tremendous amount of practical value. Don't try to attack everything at once. Pick that
Hmm.
one thing that really spoke to you and say, this is something I'm going to put into implementation. Because if you try to attack it all, you're going to get nothing. You can do it in stages. Start with one, work your way through. I know I have notes that I'm going to be implementing. And as I went through this process of even preparing for this, that's where I realized that confidence and clarity was that pulling people towards me, right? Because I
Hmm.
did the homework on understanding what it is that we were doing here, and ultimately pick that one thing that you're going to focus on and take the baby steps to move forward towards it. I know that when we were speaking right before we jumped on, you had mentioned that you had an offer for everyone here, everyone listening. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I am launching, well, I launched, it's starting in July, the Rebrand Mastermind. So this is the inside out. You were just talking about external and internal factors that maybe where we feel unaligned and disconnected. And the Rebrand Mastermind is for Jewish women. I only have six slots open. And it's for high level entrepreneurs who are like, they're clear on who they want to be. They just need help getting closer to their goals. And through these deeper conversations, it goes beyond just strategy. Yes, we can tweak your strategy and we could tweak your marketing, and you can learn how to show up with full confidence. But we really dig deep and figure out, well, if you're not showing up with confidence already, why not? Do you feel connected to your brand? Do you feel like this is a business that can earn you tons of money and you see a legacy out of it? I really want to guide you and help you through that process. So it's that inside out amazing rebrand experience. And it also includes a new brand design. So we're not just like coaching and having fun and getting deep, but you get to enjoy that external makeover and get a logo that truly represents the new you. Because at the end of the 6 months, when you walk into this, you don't walk out the same person. You're the next level version of you. So yeah, I'm so excited about it. And I see that there's a link below. So you
Yeah,
got to sign up
definitely.
soon.
This flies like hotcakes, peeps. So don't wait around. I've also included my own contact information on this podcast, on this live podcast that we do every single week. We speak about things that are timely, interesting, that you can add to your skill set toolbox, like we spoke about today. If you love the live, if you have questions, or you just want to understand how to take your game to the next level, you can feel free to hit me up. Free 30-minute strategy call just to help you to understand where you need to turn, what you need to do next. My WhatsApp is in the comments as well, and we are booking out. We're I believe potentially booked already into sometime next week. Slots fill up fast, so definitely if that's something you want to do and you just need a little bit of help, it's free. Feel free to book a slot. Again, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on. It
Thank
was
you for
so
having
fun,
me.
and the conversation was just wow. So we really appreciate you coming on, and I definitely have notes that I'm going to be implementing. I'm sure everyone else does as well. And with that, I wish everyone a fantastic rest of your day until next week. Take care.